All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. I've been getting them.
It's just one that just came in.
Yeah, about a few minutes ago.
All right. It's 4:01. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. That moves us to adoption of the agenda. Are there any recommendations? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Agenda is adopted. That moves us to our roll call. Mrs. Harden did let me know she wouldn't be here tonight. Ms. Heredia?
Here.
Myself here. Mr. Terrazas?
Here.
And Mr. Guadiana?
Here.
Okay, that moves us to board norms. Number 1, actively listen to all perspectives.
Close the loop, responding to concerns and questions as a unified board.
Model the professionalism we expect from all members of the district and community, customer service orientation.
Assume positive intent.
And number 5, be positive and responsive. If everyone could please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay, item 3, public input. Is there any public input on item A, agenda items? Okay, is there any public input on item B, items of concern? Anything online, Caitlin? Okay, thank you. All right, that moves us to item 4, new business. Item A, first reading of policy advisory 263, graduation exercises, and 264, student discipline. I did look at the website. I did see it on there. I haven't received any comments, but this is related to tribal regalia being used in graduation ceremonies. Any discussion? All right. That moves us to item 5, our action items. Item A, discussion and approval of revised revision to policy B-1400 BE school board meetings. This was to change to 1 meeting a month. I believe it was the 3rd Wednesday of every month. Is there any discussion?
The 3rd Wednesday?
When,
Let me pull it up.
that was Wednesday. It's the finance committee is the second Wednesday.
It says the 3rd Monday.
Okay. Yeah, because the council is saying Wednesdays.
All right, so third Monday. I didn't get a chance to talk to any of the town councilors from the city of Bayard because they have made their change to 1 meeting a month. But it seems like they've liked it, and what I've read in the newspaper, it's been working so far. I don't know if anyone else had a chance to talk to anyone about it.
The one thing we do need, the one thing we do need to be aware of is, certain Monday of the month, January and February are both federal holidays, Martin Luther King and President's Day. So, I don't have a problem meeting on those days myself, but I'm not sure what you want to do. I mean, we can always advertise and change the date if needed, but just to be aware.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Piper. Okay, Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item B, approval of the bills. These did go before the Finance Committee. Is there any questions for Frank? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the bills as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That moves us to item C, approval of the third quarter financial report. This was also reported in our Finance Committee meeting. Do you want to speak to it, Frank? Okay, no worries.
Okay, before you, there's the cash report that goes to PED, and this is for our quarter end, March 31st, 2025. And I'll just give you some totals off of it. We had a grand total of, we started the year with the cash balance of $4,529,000, brought in year to date 21. Excuse me, let me back up. We started with the cash balance of $4,529,000. Revenue to date $21,308,000. Expenditures to date $17,972,000, leaving us a cash balance as of March 31st in the amount of $7,864,000. So you'll see that cash report, and it's broken down by fund, and giving all the detail on it. And then also attached to it, you'll see the detail of the revenue and expenditures also that's attached to it. So, do you have any questions on that report?
The total budget was how much?
The total budget this current year was approximately about, let me see, I could pull that up for you. Total budget for this year is $33,073,000.
And 7 million is
That's a cash balance. That's what we have in the bank as of March 31st. That's cash. And that comprises of all funds.
And given that we're the teachers are off, the students are off, we're not really operational so much except for just the light costs. So 7 million, how does that fall in terms
Well,
of?
but that is as of March 31st. As of March 31st, we still have a lot of obligations. We have the remainder of the school year to complete. And then another big part of that is the debt service that we collect in order to make our bond payments at the beginning of the year. So that comprises of a couple $1 million right there. So that's restricted cash right there. So, and then another big one would also be our educational technology notes. We're sitting on still. We have about $1 million there. We're sitting on. So that's what makes up those. And then it said we have a lot of expenditures at that point that still needed to be incurred. So that's where we stand with those.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the third quarter financial report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That moves us to item D, approval of budget increase 24-101, Title I. Mr. Ryan, if you could speak to this one, please.
Okay.
This also went through Finance Committee.
Yes, we received the carryover in our Title I fund for PED, and that was received about the end of May. Our carryover, the increase in our carryover was $64,653.38. We'll be applying that into our budget to cover in $26,000 into student travel, and that will take care of the cost of busing for. We have a welding class that we take the kids from Snell to the high school, and also it'll cover the cost of the transportation for our summer program. So it'll cover those two costs. And then the other increase we have is for $35,000, and we'll be covering a lot of the purchases for curriculum going into next year. So that's what that will be. We're just going to get a head start on that. And then $3,500 for indirect costs. So a total of $64,000.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve budget increase 24-101, Title I.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item E, approval of budget increase 24-154, Title I. I just want to note out to everyone that we still have a quorum. Mr. Guadiana informed me he had to run home real quick and then he would be right back. But we still have a quorum, so we're able to still conduct business. Go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
Okay, and this is fund number 24-154, and it's Title II. And the increase, this is along the same lines as the previous one. We received notification from PED at the end of May that we do have additional carryover to budget, and that carryover is in the amount of $11,824. Where we will be budgeting that will be the most $11,179 will go into professional development, and we will cover the cost of. We have the Beyond Textbook programs, that is professional development for our teachers, and also we have the New Mexico Coalition of Educational Leaders Conference coming up, which will cover the registration for that conference, and that will be in July. $645 in indirect costs. So the total of this budget increase is $11,824.83.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the budget increase 24154, Title I.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that moves us to item F, approval of budget transfer 24106, IDEA-B entitlement.
Okay, and these are budget transfers. We have two sets of budget transfers. This one, item F, and again, item G. The difference between the two is that on this first one, this is budget transfers between functions, and this needs board approval and PED approval. So this will be the first step. And this transfer is to cover the cost of some of the summer ancillary services that are required. So I'm looking at transferring about $29,000 into speech therapists and $3,000 into occupational therapists. And those will be coming from the 1,000 function for money that was not used. We had some extra money budgeted for instructional assistants and for substitutes. So it will be a transfer from those two areas.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the budget transfer? Do I have a motion? Not yet, I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the budget transfer 24106, IDEA-B entitlement.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay. That moves us to item G, approval of budget transfer 24-106 IDEA-B entitlement.
Okay, this one is along the same lines as the first one. It'll be moving $6,386 into occupational therapist line to cover the cost of summer services that are provided due to IEPs. And this is within function, so this will not be going to PED. This just requires board approval, and that's all.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve budget transfer 24-106 IDB entitlement.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Moves us to item H, approval of budget increase 24-106 IDEA-B entitlement. Mr. Ryan?
Okay, this one is once again a carryover that PED provided to us in the amount of $90,104, and the majority of this again will be going into the summer services that we're providing for ancillary. The most of them, the occupational therapists, the psychologists, the specialists, other services, and supply assets and so on for summer programs. So $4,915 into indirect costs, a total of $90,104.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the budget increase 24106 IDEA-B entitlement.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Moves us to item I, approval of budget increase 24-109 IDEA-B preschool.
Okay, this one is along the same lines as the last one. This is the carryover that PED has provided to us in the fund 24-109 IDEA-B preschool in the amount of $2,317. And the only thing that we do use this fund for, it's such a small amount of money, and we use it to cover the partial salary for a one-on-one IA covering a 3Y special ed student. So this will be applied to the salary of that position.
Okay, any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Moves us to item J, approval of salary schedules.
Okay, we submitted salary schedules to you. We reviewed them in the finance committee. And these salary schedules that you have in front of you, they represent a 4% increase that was mandated by the public education department based on the legislature, the funding that was provided to the legislature, by the legislature, excuse me. And we have reviewed these multiple times in finance committee, and we're presenting them to you here with a straight 4%.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Guadiana.
The 4%, is that just for teaching staff or is it for everyone?
It was for everyone.
My calculations don't come close to the 4%, especially in subsequent years. And there's an anomaly that's consistent across all of the salary schedules. For instance, this one that's first, that's the daycare instructional aid. Going from $19.54 to $20.12 is a 3% raise. Mm-hmm. And then going from...
Okay, are you reading them? If you go, like are you comparing like the prior year to the current year?
No, that's not what's...
What are you comparing to when you get the 3%?
starting at the base of 0, going to 1 year, going to 2 years, going to 3
Okay,
years.
it doesn't work that way. It's just whatever your current salary is this year, they're getting a 4% increase. So it's not. I see what you're doing. You're jumping from year to year. Each step. What you're thinking, it should be 4% going down, but no, that's not. Those are just steps in the schedule, but they're not 4% steps.
Okay, then let's discuss the salary schedule.
Okay.
What is it for?
It's to place people when they're hired, and to set salaries on contracts. This schedule reflects the number of years that they've been working wherever, and that also reflects where they fall according to the job title, job classification.
Okay. So in this case, like I said, the first when it goes from hired to finishing the first year, it shows an increase of 3%, and then those subsequent ones shows an increase of 0.03%.
But you're looking at it incorrectly. This doesn't stay the same from year to year. This is a schedule for the 2025-26 school year for next year, and then next year they'll change after that. They don't remain steady. They're constantly changing. So they're not going to go from this schedule, go from year 3, and then next year go to year 4. We'll have a new one next year whatever is placed upon.
I still have trouble understanding in terms of, I see where it says it is subject to change.
Yeah.
So if you hire a daycare person that has 10 years experience, for instance, would this table then be used to put the salary at what's written here at 10%? I mean, the 10th year.
Yeah. If they were to come in new to the district, daycare aide, new to the district, they would be placed at $20.69 per hour.
So that person would be getting $1.15 more than somebody that is just barely starting off.
Yes, according to the schedule.
How does that make sense?
As long as there's steps up, that's all that matters. That's all that, according to PED, that it's something that could be. We're looking at in the future, looking at classification and compensation studies that we could remedy these situations. But right now, this is what we have in place, and it's subject to review at any given time. We could review, and it could be changed from year to year.
This is one of the dynamics that I really want to point out, is that not having seen this as a full board, I don't think there was that level of scrutiny to say that this does impact our ability to hire, retain, and recruit staff.
And you'll see this through a lot of the schedule.
It's on everyone.
There's really not right. There's not a whole lot of change in the levels from year to year. There's not significant increases anyways.
That's not true, because if you look at say principals,
That's a whole different. That's a whole teachers
And administrators are very different.
I understand. However, they get a $500 increase for every year of service on this table.
Yeah.
And so how is it that they get $500 of an increase and these guys are getting 50 cents over 10 years?
Right. I see what you're saying, and I agree with you. What we'll have to do is we need to study this. We need to really, and I think with this classification compensation study that we may put into place, is that hopefully we could resolve these issues and go into next year with a better salary schedule.
And we did approve a raise like 2 years ago when Ms. Murillo was on the finance committee, I believe, because you guys didn't want to take the recommendation of the finance committee, and then we tabled it at the time. We can go back and look in the minutes, because you guys you and Ms. Murillo were upset about the maintenance staff, and then you guys went back, did your math, and then we came back and we approved a raise for, I believe it was like our maintenance, our custodians, and our secretaries at the time. Do you recall
I
that,
think-
Mr.
oh,
Terrazas?
excuse me. I think maybe there's some clarification, correct me if I'm wrong. So the 4% is if you weigh the daycare instructional salary from last year to this year, you're looking at a 4% across the line, correct?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. If you were,
0% years from last year, the 0% or 0 years of experience this year would show a 4%.
yes,
So
that's
if-
correct.
If year 24, 25, and this is 25, 26, so going down the column, each one of those would be 4% than it was last year, not vertical, but in comparison. Does that help?
Yes,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way, typically it's done. And in years where the legislature hasn't provided a percent increase, teachers were always given at least $1. Because if they didn't receive at least $1, then that wouldn't translate in their training and experience when we came to budgeting. So, I mean, there have been years, and Frank can attest to this, where, staff may have only got $1, even though there wasn't any additional money, so that we could, claim higher training and experience when it came to the budget process. And I hope that helps. So it's 4% last year to this year, across, 23 or 24, 25, and then these are our 25, 26 salary schedules.
yes, that is correct.
If
So,
I'm remembering correctly, though, Mr. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, about 2 years ago, we went through a long process. Mr. Terrazas, I think you were on the finance committee, and Ms. Murillo, and we did give a raise to all staff at the time due to the amount of vacancies we had in the district.
Yes, there was quite a bit of adjustment at that time. And then that's when Dr. Spalletta was still here, and he totally revamped all these salary schedules. He hired a consultant to build these for us. And so that's what we've been kind of following. There's these ones that were built by a consultant, and we've just kind of been working off of them. There's been a few that we have tweaked since then, but they all could use some good review and, go from there. But we've been working off of these since Dr. Spalletta, consultant, developed these for us.
so if a person gets hired to a position here and they have 10 years experience, will this table be used to determine their salary by saying, okay, they have 10 years experience, then they get, in this case, the $20.69?
Yes, that's correct.
That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's something that the board should be involved in terms of saying, I understand your explanation for why it's that way, but that makes it not a salary schedule. And a salary schedule is something that employees should be able to look at and say, okay, next year I'll be making maybe this much. I know that it's iffy, and even that thinking out loud for them, but at least I can expect something like this if we're going on the 3% thing. But also, if I get hired at the 3% increase for every year served, that's a big difference. That's a real big difference. And that would encourage me to say that, okay, I'm going to get a fair deal here. Not that I'm going to get hired and only make 15 cents more after 10 years of experience than somebody that just walks in the door.
When we had a big discussion about this in finance, about calling them salary schedules, Frank called PED at the time and said they had to remain with the name of salary schedules
Right.
because we thought of making them placement schedules. That was our recommendation. Can you speak to that, Mr.
Yes,
Ryan?
yes, we did explore that, calling them placement schedules in place of salary schedules, but PED said, no, we have to have salary schedules in place, is what came from them. And these, you can't look into these to see what you're going to make next year, because these are only for 1 year at a time. This doesn't go beyond next year. This is for 2025, 2026. We don't have a salary schedule for 2026, 2027. This is only for 1 year. those will be set next year, and that's people can know, okay, this is what I'm going to make going into the next year. Because at any given time, we don't know what the legislature is going to provide when it comes to increases. So this will not reflect an increase going into the next year. Like, they're not going to jump from year 7 on this one to year 8 on this one. It'll be totally different. It'll be just whatever the legislature will provide at that given time.
Okay. However, the current structure is that the experience allowed, number of years, will reflect on anybody getting hired and coming in and getting only marginal increments for the years of service.
Right. And that's something that we'll need to explore and we could expand upon. You know, we can explore that and make changes as needed. It's not, you know, this is on an annual basis, so we can explore it in this upcoming year.
So Frank, the salary schedule is, because it was part of the verbiage that New Mexico uses in setting the wages for each employee, correct?
Yes.
That's why we couldn't deviate from that.
I also want to note that our finance meetings are open to the public. Our agendas are posted. I invite anyone to come and attend.
And we're staffing the finance committee, and we're not reporting to the board on them until like finally now.
Well, I give a finance committee update, sir, at every meeting.
We've never seen the salary schedules at the board meeting.
Well, they've been on the agenda for our finance committees two different months.
I think we're going in circular argument. It's not gone to the board.
It's here now, sir.
I know, and now we're having this discussion. So,
Again, our meetings are open to the public. Anyone is welcome to attend.
and the finance committee, again, has the responsibility of engaging in a dialogue with the board, saying where we're going with this prior to the decision being made, not just being handed the schedules and say, okay, now approve it. We're having the discussion. But
We
it's
are,
not,
and we're also get our packet in advance too, to review our packet and make informed decisions. And we're having a discussion. I agree with you. We are having a discussion right now.
so this kind of discussion would be good to have months before we finally approve them. So we can engage in something that makes them much more realistic, that makes them fair to people that we hire. Because at this point, if we hire somebody that has the 10 years experience and they get the 15 cents more an hour, that means every year from then on, they'll get maybe the same raise, the 3 or 4%, whatever happens, and they'll never really have that differentiation between new hire versus a seasoned hire or a seasoned employee. And I think that's detrimental to the board. I think not so much to the board, but to the school district in its ability to hire, retain, and compensate staff accordingly. Teachers get that. And there's several schedules here that show the $500 increase or $200 increase or whatever the case is. And those are more the professionals or the teaching and management staff. And if we can do that there, why can't we do that here?
Well, we attempted to do that 2 years ago. And we did. We passed it 2 years ago.
And you
I
passed,
can't remember the amount of the raise we gave clerical, maintenance, custodial. We'd have to go back and look at those board minutes, but I know it was tabled and then we came back and then the whole board was in agreement with that raise to all the staff.
You know, and then you're looking at the hourly rate. If you look at the other column that shows the annual, you'll see when it's put out to an annual basis, you'll see it may not be the $500 that you see in the other schedules, but there is a larger, there is the jumps in there. Like, let's say a year 10 would be at $28,465. when a year zero would be at 26,880, which is, we're looking at almost a $2,000 increase, that the year 10 person would be making more, $2,000 more than the starting person. So when you look at the annual column, you'll see there are the splits in there, which you're referring to.
And it's also the recommendation of the Finance Committee to do a study. We talked at great length about this in finance, to have them come in like they've done in other school districts and across the nation and in New Mexico. When I was a regent at Western New Mexico University, we undertook this process too for faculty and staff at the higher education level. So it works. People come in, they do the study based on the size of our school district, the average income, our demographics.
We're stuck, there's a chasm in the conversation, and that is that you're stuck on the wages and the adjustments that were made in this year being reflected in this schedule, and I agree that is. But I disagree with what you just said in terms of, Frank, of it's known. I mean, it is bigger than what that is, unless you were calculating the wages differently than $20.69 times however many hours. Oh, let's see.
Okay.
172 days.
If you look at a year 10 person, like you were calling out for an instance, 28,465. That person makes $1,585 more a year than a year zero person at 26,880. So there are increments per year on an annual basis. It may look small at an hourly basis, but when you annualize it, it comes out to.
And when you take it to, this reflects what the change is. So yeah, they are making that much more, which means they're making 15 cents more an hour. And you multiply that times the total number of hours, and then you'll get that
Right.
difference.
In this case, it was 1,585 from year 0 to year 10. 26,880 as compared to 28,465.
But let's say you look at, let me just pick something out here. You say a counselor, and this is level 3. The table starts out at 5 years, but so if you look at 15 years, they go from 75,000 to 81,000.
That's based on a level 3 teacher's salary. The counselors are based upon a level 3 teacher
Yeah.
schedule.
So why can't we build a structure like that shows a more representative increment that we would want to see somebody with years of experience?
Yeah.
And so with that, I don't know if we need a study to do that. But if we were talking about a study for a long time, it's too bad it wasn't done. But for right now, I wouldn't mind that we pass these and commit to adjust, to refining them so that they do reflect where a person can come in and be adequately compensated for the level of experience they have, as they can in all the other schedules that pertain to professional staff, using the term.
Okay. I move that we approve the salary schedules. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Objection,
Aye.
point of order. I have amendment to the.
I just called to the vote, sir.
You ran it through. I want to amend the motion.
I had the motion, sir, on the floor. I have the call for the vote.
And
I had the second, and I'm calling for the
I'm
vote.
calling a point of order.
Okay, which
the
has
point
been,
of- the
which
point of-
has been acknowledged, but I have a motion
You
and a
can't stop a
second.
point of order. A point of order can be fully articulated without interference.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And the point of order is that this was another act of leadership undermining, making things equal for people. It's a matter of getting my way or no way. And what I'm advocating is one that will give somebody else a fair share and a better understanding that Cobre is a good district to compensate and recognize what their value is. If it is that we want to ramrod it down where people will get 15 cents more an hour after 10 years, with 10 years experience, that's what the motion should be then, that we keep them at a way that does not represent an adequate compensation for new employees.
Okay, thank you for your comment, sir. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, so it's a 2-2 vote, so we're in a tie, so it does not approve.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the salary schedules as they are now, and we look at a study or a workshop to engage in trying to make these more reflective of adequate pay for the years worked.
I'd like to make a comment about bringing forward, we'd have to go out for bid for the classification study. That's why I didn't include it in my motion, so we could approve it at a future board meeting.
This isn't necessarily saying that. It's that we can actually meet and then discuss what we can do on our own. And if then we need to see if we agree that it needs to be a salary study, which I don't believe it should go that way. But nevertheless, what I'm advocating is something that we can do right now on our own. And
Frank, do you have the capacity to do that at this time? You and your department?
To take on something like this right now,
Yes,
between
sir.
now and July? No, we've got a lot going on.
that
We need to because we need to finish and we need to get contracts out.
Okay, Mr. Piper,
Maybe.
go ahead, sir.
And I'm looking at salary schedule, and just as an FYI, I took certified teachers level 3, and I just pulled out their yearly salary from one year to the next, and they're making about $115,000 difference per year. If you divide that out by the number of days worked, by the number of hours in a day, they're only making like 8 cents an hour more this year or this step than the prior step, which isn't much different, when you look it out. And honestly, I had this conversation with Charlene. I said, so after this many years, this is all you get hourly as a raise. But I mean, it's sort of it's just the way things have been done. And like I said, I took, some of those, and like I said, I just randomly grabbed one and grabbed a calculator, and I think the difference was about $110,000 divided it by 163 days, divided by 8 hours a day, and it was like 9 cents an hour going from one years of experience up 1 year. So I want to say the nature of the beast that's been created in public education. Because in private practice, you work 3 months, 6 months, whatever, and you may get a quarter now, And it's almost embarrassing to have that. But one of the things that we do often a lot are some of the benefits and stuff that come along with it. So I understand, honestly, I started pulling salary schedules from other districts to take a look at this. Time-wise, I don't have the time right now. I mean, the fire is consuming me every day with work. And, we've got to get this done. We've got to get our audit stuff done. And I agree, we need to take a look at it. What can be done, I don't know. All I can promise the board as a whole is, I'll make sure you see these earlier next year. And I can help with that, through the finance department. I can make sure you see them a little earlier. And I can take your concerns because, unfortunately, the finance committee can only have 2 board members on it. So, to stay away from the forum. But if we get these to you a little earlier to provide some input and look at some salaries and stuff, I'm willing to do it and help it any way I can. So, thank you.
just one little point. You mentioned the salary difference was 100 and something thousand, and then that translated into cents. And that,
It was $110.
oh, 110. Okay.
Yeah, $110 very much. And so I took 163 days, which is what their contract says to work. And typically an 8-hour day, although being an exempt employee, they can work 10 hours.
So,
And so, you know, like I said, and if you want to sit down, I'd be happy to sit down with you when I get back and show you what I was looking at.
okay, but right now, it seems like you're kind of in line with the, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're willing, and certainly some of us may be willing to work on this, not necessarily to have it done before July 1st, but to start working at it and starting to get it to be something that's more materialistic, material. And there are the positions, such as the one for the principals, that have $500 in increase every year. And that's listed all the way through year 25. And so if we can get something that meet that kind of valuation for people as for longevity, then certainly getting together and talking about it, I think would be an appropriate thing to do rather than rushing and freezing these as they are now.
Honestly, Frank's got to have this in by Friday.
No, I understand. The motion is to go ahead and approve them, but then to agree to work on it and get it to a point where it better reflects value for those people that come in with longevity and people that get longevity by staying here.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're still in a tie. I'd like to make a motion to approve the salary schedules and a later date come forward with a list of names, or our finance department to bring a list of names to conduct a study.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are there consequences for delaying the approval of the salary schedule or any part of our budget submission?
Yes, it has, it's part of it. It has to be submitted.
Do I have a second for my motion?
Second.
Can you read that again, Gabby?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the salary schedules and to bring in a consultant or another party to do a study on the salary schedules.
Would any of that reflect to get an increase after the start of the year, after the contract? Or would they have to amend the contract?
Based on whatever the study produces, and we look at the recommendations and meet with our employees and talk with them, that would be, I could add that to the motion.
I would like that.
Okay, I'll add that to the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay,
Thank you.
welcome. All right, that moves us to item K, approval of stipend schedules.
Okay, we have a stipend schedule here in front of you, and that's been discussed in Finance Committee also. And the only change that was discussed in Finance Committee is the Title IX analysts. We're going to set a level 1 and a level 2. The level 1 will receive a stipend of $500, and the level 2 will receive a stipend of $2,000. The level 2 will be the coordinator, and all other members of the committee will be the level 1. Other than that, everything else remains the same on this stipend schedule for the year.
Could you repeat that again, please? I wasn't ready to write.
Okay, sure. Yes, this stipend schedule is the same. The only change that's been made is that we split up the Title IX analyst into a level 1 and a level 2.
Oh, okay.
And the coordinator will receive the level 2, and all others on the committee will receive the level 1.
Let me spell. You know, page it is in
13.
the packet.
13.
13, David. I think it's more than 13.
Oh, I'm sorry. On mine it says 1 of 13, but I think that's the scan copy.
You want to say it's like 68? No, it's fine.
It's at the end of the salary schedule.
It's right
Passed it.
after the
You
last
passed it.
one. The last one is compliance, sped compliance.
What, well, they're looking at stuff. What is the transition coordinator?
That is,
Can I speak to this? Because
Yes, go ahead.
I
Yes.
asked about this.
yes, go ahead.
This is the person that takes care of the IEPs for the special education department from elementary to middle school to high school, and then post high school for our special education students. I had asked this last year when this came forward. And I believe all these people provided documentation for their stipend, like how they go over and beyond. And I believe her caseload was something like 63 students that she has to transition.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the stipend schedule.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item L, approval of the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
Okay, before you is our budget. The main part of it is our operational budget, and that total budget and operational funds will be $18,136,000. Some of the key points that we had going into this budget is that we had a loss of our state equalization guarantee, so we're going down in state funding. We're losing $771,000 in state funding that we're going down. Unfortunately, we were able to build a little bit of cash up. This year we ended this last year at $1,761,000. This year I am forecasting we'll end with probably about $2.2 million. So that's an increase right there that will really help us out. So with this budget, that being said, we have that loss of revenue. We have a lot of additional costs that we have to pick up. Like first of all, we're mandated to give a 4% raise. That 4% raise will cost the district $457,000. We had an increase in health and dental insurance. The health went up right at a little under 10%, and dental went up 4%. So that right there, that additional cost is $132,000. Our risk insurance went up, which includes our liability, our coverage for our buildings, and our workers' compensation, and that went up $77,000. So if you take all those three increases, that's new cost to the district of about $667,000. Kind of along the lines of losing the SEG, we also lost some pretty big grants that's been helping us out over the year. We had the CLSD grant. This year they allowed us to carry over $650,000 into this year that was unspent from previous years. So that helped us to maintain our reading interventionists in the schools. Another source of funds we lost was we had the CARES Act money that we were able to carry into this year. We had about $250,000 that we carried in, had to be spent by September, but that really helped us out with salaries. We covered a numerous salaries for the first 3 months of the year under that fund. And another chunk of money we're losing, we had what's called a Family Income Index grant at Bayard Elementary School, and that was about $70,000. And that one we also used for interventionists. So we're losing a lot of money. And luckily, we do have enough cash balance to kind of help us out right now, but that will just buy us a little bit of time. That just kind of will carry us through this year. And then next year, we're really going to have to look at very closely at what we're going to do with some positions. Right now, like I tell you, we lost all these grant funds. So our operational fund is having to absorb some of these costs. And for some of the big ones, we have 4 interventionalists that we're bringing over from the CLSD funds. So those will be at our elementary schools. We have a project coordinator that was paid out of the CLSD grant, and will have to be absorbed in operational funds. There's 2 new positions that we're opening up. One is they're both dean of students, one at the high school, one at the middle school. Those will be split funded, probably I'd say about 50-50 between operational and Title I. So really it'll just be like the operational fund will be picking up, gaining one because it'll be the 2.5 FTEs. So those are some of the big things that we're going to be picking up in this budget. Other than that, there really wasn't any room for like, hey, we've got extra money here, we've got extra money there. There was none of that. It was just, this budget is mainly salaries and benefits, just keeping everything that we have in place going right now into the next year. And then when we build budget next year, we're really going to have to take a good look at some of our positions and see how we could maximize and utilize the money to the best way possible. Right now, we had the decrease in our state equalization guarantee of about $771,000. And I don't have the exact numbers because the SEG is made up, it has numerous components to it. And in the years past, I've been able to analyze it and see, okay, exactly which one is going down, which one is going up. But I haven't been able to receive a good 910B5 from PED showing our current year revenue. So I can make this comparison. But I did look at some of them. A couple of them I am able to analyze. And we're losing $811,000 in special ed funding. One big area right there is we have exited a lot of special ed students, so our numbers have decreased significantly in special ed to the tune of $811,000. So, that may be something that we need to take a good look at next year. What we're spending? Because right now we're spending a lot more in special ed than what the units are generating. So that's going to have to really going to need a good study. Another area that's going down significantly is our bilingual funding. That's taking a $411,000 decrease also. There's been some changes in the programs, the way that's been reported, so that in turn goes down. Some of our other areas, such as our school size adjustments, those have gone up a little bit, and all the ups and downs comes out to the loss of $771,000. So that's just the operational portion. Everything else in our budget has remained pretty steady. We have our transportation funds, our food service funds, our SB9 funds, our debt service. All of those are pretty steady, pretty constant. So the total of this budget is $27,281,000. Any questions on this budget? We've discussed it, and we've been kind of discussing it in finance committee as we've been going along these last few months since we were given this information to build the budget upon.
So this represents a $6 million loss then? But what we had now, we had 33 million for that, and now we have 27 million?
Overall, because as we go throughout the years, there's different funds. Like this budget here in front of us, it doesn't include Title I. So a lot of our federal programs, it doesn't include it because at this point in time, we didn't have that information. So those will have to come to the board at future meetings, all the small budgets. And once we get all those put into place, the remainder, such as Title I, IDEA B entitlement, and so on, it will be back up to about the 33 million dollar mark where we're in comparison to the current year.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Any questions on this budget before you?
No, I'd like to say I appreciate getting the info. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
As with all the rest of the stuff that's been coming up, we were given this again at the time that we're supposed to be approving it, not discussing what potential impact, what programs are going to be set in what way, and stating a preference that we might have. Instead, we're giving it now, and I appreciate the explanation for things that are going on. There's a lot of stuff that could be discussed further that we can't do at this point. And so I would just like to make a note of my objection to the fact that the Finance Committee is not reporting this to the board as required.
I disagree, sir. I'm not going to argue with you. There's no point in doing that. I'm just going to say I give a Finance Committee report every meeting. I invite everyone to come attend the meetings. So thank you for the discussion. We had a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
I'm sorry, aye.
Okay. Was that you're opposing it?
Yes.
Okay. We still have 3-1. So it is approved. That moves us to item M, approval of transportation contracts. Go ahead, Frank.
Okay, in your packets, I have provided the contracts for our bus contractors. We have 2 contractors for next year, and we're looking at an increase of approximately $21,000. What I do, the contractors are the ones who generate these dollars, and sometimes they take big hits. Like with last year, they took about an $80,000 hit, and this year our revenue went up, so I'm passing that increase on to the contractors. So their contracts will be, the 2 contracts combined will be $635,000 on the to and from busing, and on the rents and leases portion, that's just money that passes through the state to us to pass on to them, $51,707. So I'm recommending these 2 contracts be approved by the school board.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the transportation contracts.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just on the contract, the date, if we just put that changed.
Okay, from the 9th, Frank?
Both of them show the 9th.
Excuse me?
Both of them show the 9th. as the
Okay, I'll
approval
change those
date.
dates then. Okay.
Okay, seeing no more discussion, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, that moves us to number 6, our superintendent's report and our fundraisers. Mr. Piper, whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, just real quick, I believe there's three fundraisers going on. The first 2, class of 2026, July 4th and 5th, they will be selling some food, drinks, some other activities for 4th of July for senior class activities. And that's taking place there at the park. Also, June 9th through June 21st, which has all passed already, they were selling, they had a car wash. At either at Snell or at Bayard Food Basket, also to raise funds for senior class activities. And the final one, softball, was raising money for state championship rings, and they're selling some t-shirts and sponsorships for those. So those are the 3 fundraising notes that I had for this week.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Piper. Also, thank you for the email updates you've been giving us. They've been very helpful.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking immediate action. I had Sharon Miller reach out to me from the Mimbres for allowing residents to park their RVs at the high school parking lot. I appreciate you doing that.
You're welcome. And also, just as a note, since you brought that up, I have visited with the Fire Chief Gonzalez today. We'll be opening up the back gym for any seniors, people that, these swamp coolers that are on some of these older homes suck in so much of the smoke and stuff and don't really cool. We're opening up that back gym. There's also an update in your email, but as long as I've got you here, so that they can get away from some of the smoke. They're talking about putting in an air filtration system into that gym, that smaller gym, and, let those people get out of the heat. The police department, fire department, city is going to help staff that, so we don't have to bring on any extra people. So really appreciate them looking out for the community in that aspect.
Thank you. All right, that moves us to item 7, executive session. Notice is hereby given so that the Cobre Board of Education will meet in executive session for the following purposes as permitted under the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. Item A, to meet with legal counsel to discuss pending litigation as permitted under section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Opens Meeting Act, specifically to discuss Item 1, Maureen Peru versus the Cobre Consolidated District, case number D-608 CV 2023-280. Item 2, Annette Acosta versus the Cobre Consolidated School District, case number D-608 CV 2024-26. Item 3, Cecilia Joyce Varela versus the Cobre Consolidated School District, case number D-608 CV 2024-28. Item 4, Melissa Minus versus the Cobre Consolidated School District, case number D-608 CV 2024-29. Item 5, Deanna Davis versus the Cobre Consolidated School District, case number D-608 CV 2024-31. Item B, pursuant to section 10-15-1H of the New Mexico Opens Meeting Act, sections 12-6-5 of the New Mexico Audit Act, and 2.2.2.15A3 of the MAC for the auditing firm to update the board regarding the status of phase 2 of the special audit. Item 3, to discuss limited personnel matters pursuant to section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Opens Meeting Act, specifically to review a parent's complaint against a principal and the former superintendent and discuss whether the board has the authority to hear either or both complaints, and if so, under what authority, including board policy and regulation. Item D, to discuss personally identifiable information about individual students pursuant to section 10-15-1H4 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act as part of reviewing a parent's complaints against a principal and the former superintendent, and discussing whether the board has the authority to hear either or both complaints, and if so, under what authority, including board policy and regulation. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we go into the executive session.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead and do a roll call. Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Secretary Terrazas?
Yes.
And Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
Okay, we are now in executive session at 5:10 p.m. We good to go? Number 8, reconvene an open session at the conclusion of the executive session for a statement affirming that no action was taken in executive session and that discussions were limited to the items listed in the agenda for executive session. I'll entertain a motion.
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll go ahead and do a roll call. Ms. Heredia?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Terrazas?
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
All right, that moves us to item 9, our action items. Item A, discussion and possible approval of amendment number 2 to forensic audit accounting procedures contract with Armio Accounting Group. So I'd like to make a motion to grant an extension of the district's forensic accounting procedures contract with Armio Accounting Group, including the following key terms: the amount of $20,000 and a term of 3 months to expire on September 13th, 2025, with all the other terms remaining the same. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Item B, decide whether the board has the authority to hear the parent complaint against the principal under state law and board policy, including NMSA 1978, Section 22-5-4, local school board powers, duties, and board policy KEB and KEB-R, or some other board policy, including next steps. I make a motion that we do not hear the parent complaint against the principal. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I'd like to comment that hearing one of someone that is not our employee would be against our authority.
Not
I
within our
support-
school board duties.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a second?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, and item C, decide whether the board has the authority to hear the complaint against the former superintendent under state law and board policy, including NMSA 1978, Section 22-5-4, local school boards, powers, duties, and board policy KEB and KEB-R, policy KE, or some other board policy, including next steps. So I'd like to make a motion that we do hear the parent complaint against the former superintendent under board policy KE with the following parameters for the hearing. For next steps, 10 minutes for each side to plead their case, 15 minutes for questions and deliberation, 5 minutes for closing, and that both sides are allowed to have legal representation at their own cost. And I propose that we have this hearing on Monday, June 23rd.
I'd like to add to that,
Sure.
that the complainant does have the option to either have the meeting held in public session or in closed session.
So I'd like to add to my motion that the complainant has the option to have their case heard in either open or closed session. So do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that moves us to item 10, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Amen.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned at 7:18 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.